Everything that I'm going to feature is going to be tagged in the description area. We're going to be focused today on setting up this matrix switcher and demoing this in real time. So I currently use a matrix switcher in this space. If you've seen my office tour video, I actually did a tour of the different monitors that are here, and I have done a video on a matrix switcher before. This particular one was sent over for review. This is the MT-VIKI 4K HDMI switcher. So I have a few extra things here on my desk as well to make sure that we are able to demo this out as completely as possible. So we have our 4 monitors that we used from our last live stream where we talked about setting up a video wall. So the same 4 monitors here. And then I brought out an extra laptop. I've brought out the YoloBox. I have an extra camera as well. So we can feed in multiple inputs into this and then feed out multiple outputs going into our monitors right here. So if you have questions, go ahead and put those in the chat. Appreciate you guys for liking this video, subscribing, following to this video. And let's get started with this. Like I said, this is the matrix switcher right here. Now, this was sent over for my review, so we are going to do this review in real time, essentially. So let's go ahead and get this unboxed here. Brand new in the packaging. This is the first time I'm actually taking it out. So we're gonna grab our accessories and try to keep our desk area as clean and neat as possible today. So here is our switcher, and we have a CD. I haven't seen a CD in quite some time. Put in the comments, when's the last time you've seen a CD? All right, so let's put that right there, and we'll move this box off to the side here. Now, I did expand this camera out from our last live stream because I may walk over here to grab cablings and things that we need for this. So here we have our 8x8 video switcher. So on the front here, we have our numbers. We have our plastic that we can actually take off or leave on for the sake of this video. Let's see, can we grab it? It's in there. I can't grab it. I can't grab it, but it's on the display here. We'll grab it later. Then we have our buttons here for our power, our IR button as well, infrared. And we have our control section over here, so input, output, control. And then on the back, we have our 8 inputs and we have 8 outputs. Okay, so we have 8 inputs and 8 outputs. Now, what I might actually do, and I won't do it in this live stream just because it would go significantly longer than it needs to go. But I might actually use this here in the studio and swap out the existing matrix switcher that I'm currently using, because the current matrix switcher that I'm using allows for 4 inputs and 4 outputs. So this allows for 8 inputs and 8 outputs. So it gives me a little bit more flexibility on all the different devices we can set up and plug in here. So I might actually swap this out and put this as my production environment switcher. So stay tuned on that. If you follow me on the socials, you'll definitely see that video, I'm sure. This does have a little bit of weight to it. You can hear the metal chassis here. I'll put it a little bit closer to the microphone. You can hear the metal chassis of this, and I'm excited to get this hooked up. On the bottom, it has email support. There's a Facebook page on here that you can follow as well, so definitely do that if you are interested. Let's go ahead and see what's in this packaging right here. And I'm sure this will be some power-related items, which it is. So we have our power cable here, and the other end of the power cable here. So go ahead and get this plugged in. And power is on the back here, so we'll go ahead and plug this in on the back. And you'll see that I mounted my surge protector, or power strip I should say, my power strip up here. And for those that are watching live on Amazon, I'm going to move through the carousel and tag the different items that I'm using so that you can easily see those. Now there is a controller cable here, our RS-232 cable, or not RS-232, our 8-pin cable. I don't plan on using that. I typically don't use it. This matrix switcher here, as you can see, it's a little bit long, so this is rack mountable. So if you have a server rack, you can mount this in a server rack, which is nice. One of those things that I still need to get here. I thought a company was going to send one over, but didn't receive one. It does come with the rack mounts as well, so the little rack mounts, you just put your screws on it and just mount it inside your rack if you need to. Now there is a little disc here. Not sure what is on this disc. It does say 22 minutes or 25 minutes. So this might be some software related to it or user manual as well on the digital format side. And then here we have our matrix switch operation guide. Tells us all what's in it. So if we come across any issues or need specific information, we can definitely look at this. Now this does show software operations, so if you want to use this and get to the software console, definitely has that option as well. I don't do a lot of software related stuff personally in my workflows. Now in setups, I'll tend to go in there if it makes a little bit more sense to configure things where it's harder to do it maybe on the console itself. Going through the software makes it easier to configure. But once I have things set up, I typically don't change it unless it's in this environment where we're constantly testing and demoing, or if you guys have questions, and going into the software allows me to do that easier. So depending on your workflow, definitely you want to go through this anyway, but if you want to access the software, you can do that. We're just not going to do that for the sake of this video and time. So let's go ahead, and these are little pads to protect it when you mount it. And the remote control here does have a remote, and it does have batteries. They do provide us with batteries, so I am much appreciative of the companies that include batteries when they have a product that requires a remote or you can use with the remote. So always nice to have some batteries rather than try to scramble to find some. So we'll go ahead and get these batteries put in here. And all right, good to go. So batteries are in, power is in, there is an on-off button, there is an audio port here, 3.5 audio port. There is a LAN port as well, okay? So let's go ahead and turn this on. I'm gonna flip this around so you guys can see what happens when it turns on. And I'm sure there's a little bit of a boot up sequence, boot up cycle. So let's see here. Oh, it's not on, all right. The reason it's not on is because I don't have my power surge on. So let's take a step back. I was charging up my my Blue Yeti. We use that in our last stream, so I actually have to turn that on. Once I turn it on, then we'll get some power, okay? In the last live stream, I used this Blue Yeti power supply to power everything for our setup. It's powering the monitors, it's powering our external devices here on this side of the desk. So let's go ahead and get this turned on so we can get things working here. And turn on the AC part of this. All right, and go ahead and turn on the port here. So now we should be able to draw some power. And yep, there we go. Now our monitors are coming on, so that's a good thing. Now let's go back and turn on our unit here. There we go. I see the little LAN light coming on here in the back. And we see our console here turning on. And let me see what it's saying here. It says HDMI Matrix HD88L version 1.0. And our power light is on. So we're good to go there. Control lights are coming up here as well, so we are entering our boot up sequence, and it's also showing me the IP address 192.168.1 dot something. I missed the number, it switched. Looks like it might actually come back to it and cycle through. So you definitely can put this on your network. Again, mention it is mountable in your rack, so if you're using a network rack, then you can mount this in. So let's go ahead and connect some HDMI connections. Now, like I said, this does allow for 8 inputs and 8 outputs. So any of your inputs can go to any of your outputs, or multiple different inputs can go to the same. Let me make sure I say that correctly. You can have any of these outputs show the same thing. So like if I want to input 1 to show on 2 monitors, I could have output 1 show on 2 different monitors, and we'll display that here in a second. So let's go ahead and get some of these monitors hooked up. I already have the HDMI cables here on the other side. So let's go ahead and just get them connected here and I need to label these for future reference when we do these. So let's run these cables down here as clean as possible, but not super detailed. So we'll do camera 1 here on the top, and let me open up this power cable so we have a little bit more slack, because I do want to be able to turn this around and show you all that. And this monitor up here will be monitor number 2, so we'll plug this into output number 2. This lower monitor down here will be output number 3. So we'll grab this one. This will be output number 3. And our final monitor here will be output number 4. Okay, so we have 4 monitors that we're going to use as outputs. Again, I'll keep restating the fact that this does have the ability to do 8 outputs, but we are just going to focus on 4 outputs. And you see it's nice and clean. You get plenty of space to go ahead and use the rest of these outputs here. Now, in this current work environment that I have 2 different setups, or multiple different setups, where I have a camera that's way back there in the back, and then you see that desk that's halfway before you get to where I'm standing at right now. And that's kind of why I use my Matrix, is because I have a Mac Mini over there. Sometimes I'll have a laptop over there, and then obviously I have another monitor that's hidden right behind where that light pole is, where that green screen is. You can't see it there, it's just out of frame. And then I have the monitor that is behind me, and then I'm also looking at a monitor that's right in front of me. So let's see what shot will actually show it. Let's move this camera just slightly over here so you can see that I have a monitor here as well. So depending on what I want to actually show on which screen, either this screen behind me, the screen in front of me, or the screen over there over to the side, I use the matrix switcher to basically send that feed to whichever one that I want to. So let me go ahead and get some inputs started here as well. Question, how the Wirecast gear, can you restate that question or statement? I'm not sure if you're asking how is the Wirecast gear, or how do you like Wirecast gear. If you could restate that question for me. Let's go ahead and get some HDMI connections run here. So first connection I'm going to do is grab my cables over here off to the side. I've got a couple HDMI cables over here. Now we're going to hope these HDMI cables work. I do try to throw the ones away that get bent or stop working. I've used some in the past that were giving me some fits, so I had ended up tossing them out. So I hope I tossed all of them out that needed to be. How do you know question is, how do you get the same setup as Leo Laporte? I'd have to see his setup to be able to answer that question for you. So I don't know. I don't personally know his setup, so it's very difficult to answer that question. All right, so laptop number one. Okay, and the follow-up is how you're Wirecasting. So I no longer use Wirecast. If you've watched my recent YouTube videos, I talked about moving away from Wirecast. I now use Ecamm. Ecamm is just a lot easier with the Mac systems, and Ecamm actually was willing to work with me to help create content around live streaming, so I actually made the switch over from Wirecast. All right, so here we have one of my monitors hooked up already. So let me switch over to this angle. So what I've done is take input 1 and connected it to my laptop. So laptop HDMI out into HDMI in of the matrix switcher, and we can see that input 1 is showing on output 1. Now here on the console, if I look at my input, I will select my input 1, which this it is right here, and if you guys can see, and I'll try to zoom in here for you, but I also need to try to hold this up. So let's do this. Let's grab the box and show you. Now this is my first time using it, so if something doesn't work the way that I think it should work, this is also one of those times where I can let the company know, like, hey, the workflow would be a little bit better if we change this. All right, so let's log in because my laptop timed out. So we're looking at my laptop screen right here. So if I select input 1, and let's say I want it on output 4, I would select output 4 down here. And let's say enter. There we go. So now I got my device input laptop to show on output number 4. Okay, so it also is still showing on input number 1. So let's see on here. I'm not sure how you would clear it out of output number 1. This is where I might need the instructions. So let's see here. I want output 4. I don't want output 1. Let's see what happens there. And if that works, I'll tell you what I did, but I'm not sure that's going to work. Okay, so this is where I would need the directions to see how I could clear it from output number 1, because if I don't want it there and I want it over here, that's what I want to be able to do. So let's get a couple other things connected here. I do have, like I said, the YoloBox that we're going to use for this example. And where is the YoloBox in here? Okay, so the YoloBox right now, it has a camera connected to it. So we're going to connect it. Oh, we need to come out. Let's do this. We have to come HDMI out, and then we'll go into port number 2 on here. So we'll do input number 2 there. And we'll go ahead and all right, so now we can see that up here we're actually looking at the screen from the YoloBox. So I have a camera connected into the YoloBox, and input 2 is showing on output 2 just the way it should by default for the YoloBox up here on the screen. And again, if I want to move this down to 4, I would go here onto input 2 because that's where the YoloBox is, and say I want it on 4, select enter, and it should move it down to 4. Now what I also want to see, I'm going to see if I just move 1 to 2, what would happen there. So input 1, screen 2, hit enter, and you do hear the response, the key response there. So it switches it like so. Let's see output 1. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna select output 1. If I deselect input 1, it makes you select something. So what I would do is like select 8 because there's nothing on 8 and hit enter, and then that should go away there. So so what it does is you do have to have something selected for the output, otherwise it's default for how you take it out the box here. All right, let me jump into a couple of these live questions. How does the Blue Yeti portable power station compare to similar products in terms of specs and performance? I don't know because I don't use a lot of them. So again, this live stream is specifically related to building out a matrix switcher. I use what's sent over to me, and if it's not sent over to me, or if it's not high on my list of priorities, I don't go into the specs. If I know you've watched my content before, I'm the person, I just need it to do the thing it does. I don't really go into specs because it's not important to me. Can you show Amazon Carousel on screen? Technically I can, but logistically I already have a lot going on, so it's not really worth it. Watching on Amazon, it's already on the screen, so you actually can already see it if you're watching on Amazon, so there's no need to bring it double onto the screen because it's already showing. Is the switch designed for rack mounting? Yep, so that's one of the first things I said at the beginning. You can mount this in a rack, and it gives you the screws and the rack mount that you need to mount it in a rack. So so that was at the very beginning of the live stream in case you missed that. All right, so back to what we were focusing on here. Let's stay focused. We have 8 inputs, 8 outputs. We're using 4 outputs right now. Currently, we have 2 inputs coming in. We have our laptop coming in as one input, and we have our YoloBox coming in as another input into here. Now, it also has the remote control here, and the remote is labeled F1 through F8. And so the remote control doesn't mimic, if you will, what it looks like here on the actual matrix switcher itself. So I will definitely look at the instructions, see if I can make this make sense relatively quickly while you all are here. And as I'm going through this, feel free to check out the carousel as well. Let's see, let me fast forward over to, now this does 4K as well. That's one of the big selling points of this, is a 4K, so you can have 4K coming in, and as you can see here, I have 4K coming in on the YoloBox. So let me go ahead and zoom in on here. Am I controlling the right camera? Let's see. Is that camera? Oh, I think I changed which camera that is. I might not bring that in just because I can't remember what camera that is now. 5. Okay, yeah, 5. I reconfigured a couple things and moved some cameras around, and I didn't change my naming schema all the way around. All right, almost there. Okay, but you can see there, I have the YoloBox set to 4K, so I'm bringing 4K out, so it's automatically scaling the resolution properly for me, so I didn't have to go into the console and tell it that I'm only sending this to a 1080p monitor. It's automatically doing that itself. So that's another benefit of the scaling aspect that it has included. All right. So we mentioned LED screen on the front. We mentioned the IR remote. There are different function controls here. I'm gonna go ahead and select menu and see what I see with menu here. I was hoping to see something maybe up here, which I don't. What I have noticed here, even just quickly going through the console, when you select your input and your output, it gives you the green status light temporarily and it goes away. So I'm assuming that's how much time you have to make that next decision. So it showed the status light green. You get a few seconds to make your decision. If you don't tell it anything, it'll go back into its standby mode. I'm questioning all of these comments from the same person, and I almost want to hit block because the answer to the question is in your question. An 8x8 is an 8x8, and I've mentioned that multiple times already in this live stream. If I do see another comment that's like really obvious, then I'll just have to go ahead and block it, just because I want to focus this on people that really are interested in this information and find value into it, where they're asking questions that are just more appropriate. Let's see here. Okay, so let me go through some of these things that the menu area. So this specific menu area, and I can't zoom in on that so you guys see what I'm talking about. And we'll attempt to do picture-in-picture. It's been a while since I did picture-in-picture. And I think my Blue Yeti lost all of the power that it was receiving. Let's see if I can plug this in somewhere else. So I was trying to power this up or give it some more juice, and we ran out of juice because we started this. I started running power to it a little late. So let me reconnect this somewhere else here. And let's do this on the floor. And I should have enough power. All right, so I'm gonna plug this down here. I'm gonna give it some juice first. And then plug this in here. Never tried to run this off of a backup like this. So let's see. Oh, let's see. Can this reach? Hold on, this might be able to reach on its own. If it can reach on its own, then we don't need that. All right. The one thing I'm lacking here is just enough power to do all these demonstrations because we have so much equipment. Okay. All right. I gotta get this to hold up here. Let's see. Okay. All right. So I think we got it now, or we can do it that way. All right. Back in action there. So let's get this screen zoomed in here. And I'll show you a little bit closer up what we're working with here. All right, so you see the input on the, input, on the top row, output on the bottom row. And this control section is what I want to look at here now. So in the user manual, it shows, let me show if I can do picture-in-picture real quick for you guys. It's been a while since I've tried picture-in-picture. So we'll do picture-in-picture on DVE1. Let's see, did I do it right? Did I do it? Oh yeah, I did it right. Yeah, I'm in the top corner. Okay, I did it right. All right. So the all button here, very top, it says select all key, including sending any input signal to all output channels and switching all input channels to the corresponding output channel to the corresponding output channel. It has that said that twice. All right, so let's do all, and we'll do 1 and 1 and hit enter, see what happens there. All right, let's try that again. Oh, I think you have to hit, do we have to hit all first or menu first? Menu. So all is not lit up in this scenario. All right, let's see. The EDID learning keys built and a variety of EDID can be written directly in. I'm not quite sure what that means. Menu button is a switch beep sound and save overall scenes 1-to-1 display. Up is the upward key. Down is the downward key, which that makes sense. I would like to see, okay, there we go. Let's see if that did it. This is where I would probably want to do this type of function with the software. Okay, so now it displayed it all on the same screen. Now, for some reason, 1 and 1 didn't get displayed all on the same screen. So let me zoom out so you guys can see what's happening here a little bit. All right, so let me try 2. So I want to do 2, all, 2, enter. I'm gonna see what happens there. Okay. So I get what it's doing to some degree. Okay, so that's what I was waiting on there. And now, because 2 is already set to something else, that screen was already set to something else. So in order to get that over, I need to change input 1. So go 2 to 2 to enter. And that should change that to the YoloBox, yeah. So, okay. Getting the hang of that. Let's see what else we got here. I can get rid of picture in picture. There. So it has different examples of how you can switch in here. Talks about your IP control, audio out again. So for anybody that does want to use audio in this matrix switcher, you can. I typically don't run my audio through my devices like this. I can see where it makes sense to, but for this environment, I'd really have no need to do anything like that. The fan. Okay, I was checking to see where that fan noise was coming from. That's not this, so that's good. So if you hear any background noise, a fan that just kicked on is not this. It's actually the Blue Yeti being charged up down there on the floor. There is a nice connection diagram here that shows different scenarios of how to bring in your computer input. Not sure if you're going to see this because of my white balance on my screen, but how you can bring in different computers, a laptop, a DVD player, all these different things for your inputs, connect it to your router, and then be able to control this through RS-232 connection, and then have your different outputs. And it mentions in here to a projector, so if you do want to send a signal to a projector screen, you have that option along with the TVs that I'm using here to demonstrate as well. Let's see what else. Software settings. Again, once this is on your network, you can log into it remotely and access it on your network and go through all the settings. Oh, this is pretty cool. It shows a visual diagram of your inputs and outputs, so that's nice. Channel naming, so you can name the different channels, so it's not just input 1, input 2, input 3. You could name it what you want it to be, so you can identify it easier for your specific use case and scenarios. Let's see, can I zoom out some more? There we go. Let's see what else we got here. Setting up different scenes. Oh, so this is cool. So for those that use a video switcher in general, like I use the ATEM, I use the BZB switcher, you can set up different scenes and you can call the scene. So if you have a specific thing you want to do, so let's change this to something a little different so we get a better visual. You can call my laptop timed out. You can call a scene. So let's say we configured this setup. We could do this as scene 1. And let's see if we can do this like on a remote without knowing what we're doing. Let's see if we can just do this on a remote. Okay. So let's say F1. Oops. see the IR remote. Okay, I just wanted to make sure the remote works. So I turned it off. Let me turn it back on. Because I'm looking for like an indicator light or a response back to show that this did. So let's say this is, let's see. Oh, okay, so I'm calling 1 and 2 and okay, let's see. That should change to the YoloBox if it wasn't already on the YoloBox. I forgot what it was on. Nope, that didn't work. 1, input 2, enter. Is my camera still on? Yeah, my camera's still on. Trying to play with this remote. Yeah, I'm gonna have to read the instructions on the remote, I guess. I see it going input 1, output 1, and I hit enter, but I'm not seeing it do anything. But essentially what we were talking about was scenes, but you can program this to be a scene. So if you have a certain setup for, let's say, the beginning of your church service, you can set all the inputs and outputs to go to that scene of how you want, and things change during that service, and you need different monitors to show different things. So maybe it's the time for teaching and ministry, then you can switch all of these to the other scene, and you can do it with presets on here. So that's pretty cool. I could see myself even using that here in this environment, where I have scenes built out specifically for when I'm live streaming on YouTube, and then scenes specifically when I'm live streaming on Amazon, because when I'm live streaming on YouTube, I want to see YouTube's chats, I want to see YouTube analytics. Then when I'm on Amazon, I want to see my Amazon carousel, I want to see my Amazon, my other screen that might show the products and everything, so I can monitor it. So I could see me using that functionality for sure. Here is the remote control information. So all this stuff that I'm having questions on in real time as we're live streaming this live on Amazon, I could definitely find what I'm looking for pretty quickly. We won't go through all the troubleshooting because the video doesn't need to be longer than it needs to be, and everybody's use case is going to be different, and I think that's it for in here. But overall, the gist of what the matrix switcher is to do is to allow you to take inputs and outputs and be able to put whatever input you want on whichever output. And so you can see here we have input 2 showing on screens 3 and 4. I'm going to change input 1 to show on screens 1 and 2, and make sure that comes back again, because I'm trying to figure out why our 1 and 2 monitors like just disappeared on me. All right, let's try that again, because it's not showing input 1 on those screens now. And let's try, all right, I'm trying input 2. All right, input 2 shows up on there. It might be my laptop acting crazy again. So it's probably definitely not even the switcher, it's probably just my laptop acting wild. So I'm gonna restart my laptop and then try that again, and push 1 and 2 to up there. So once, yep, so now my laptop's showing it's restarting. So it was my laptop causing that issue. So I'll let that go ahead and reboot. All right, let me look for any final types of questions related to the matrix switcher. And while I'm doing that, I'll run through all the things that are tagged below. These monitors that I'm using, again, these were sent over from the last video where we did the video wall, the Ore video wall. What's going on with my laptop? All right. My laptop's just acting like it just doesn't want to respond today. All right. So let me reset the switcher and the laptop. So these monitors, these are 22-inch monitors. We have them mounted. There we go. Gee, I almost my laptop. 22-inch monitors. I took the stands off of these and just mounted them directly on the quad arm that you see here. Now, I'm not sure how long I'll leave this up, but I think it did come in handy for the last video and this video as well to demonstrate a video wall and a matrix switcher. Quite surprisingly, they're not that heavy on this desk, where I thought the desk might get a little too top heavy on that side, but it surprisingly worked out pretty well here. So we may keep those around. The YoloBox I have here on the desk here, this is a live streaming device, and I'm sending output from the YoloBox to one of our screens. So if you're thinking about live streaming, and specifically I'm thinking about like live streaming an outdoor event, and you have a video wall feed, you could actually like walk around with this or just hold this and run an output to a screen out in left field or out behind the dugout, and give the players opportunity to see the real-time game as it's happening. And if you had a matrix switch, you could run it to both teams. So a lot of different scenarios that we can come up with for these types of things. We have some Amazon Basics HDMI cables. That's primarily what I'm using here. I have a few others, but whenever I'm in a pinch, I can always rely on getting some HDMI cables from Amazon pretty quickly. What we were using before, I didn't charge it all the way from our last live stream, was the Blue Yeti power station. I actually had some power stations this weekend that I was using for a yard sale event, and they come in handy. So if you need to have your own power and you can't rely on having it from anyone else, having a backup power station or a primary power station is pretty convenient to have. The laptop that I'm using over here is the Acer Predator Helios. It's a gaming laptop. And the laptop that I'm using over here is a MacBook Pro. I think I accidentally tagged MacBook Air in there, but I'm using a MacBook Pro. And then our power strip in front of me is here. So this is what I'm using to run power for all 4 monitors, the laptop, and the matrix switch today is all running into there. And what's the last thing I have? And the last thing I have in the carousel is the microphones that we are using, which are the Shure Move mics. This is a lapel system. So if you're trying to figure out where the microphone was and how I was getting good audio without seeing anything, that's because I'm using this little tiny microphone and not one of those big old square blocks that's hanging from my shirt. But I think that will wrap up this video. So if you're interested in a matrix switcher, this is one to definitely check out. Again, I will probably be swapping out the one that I do have right over here, matter of fact. And I think I may be able to get this camera to show it. Let's see. Maybe not. We'll see. But you can see the very bottom of it. Let me go move that monitor a little bit. Well, no, I don't want to move the monitor, but if you look at the monitor, you see like a little blue oval just to the right of it. That's my matrix switcher that's sitting there on a desk that I'm currently using for this setup to show that computer over there, or that monitor over there. So I can send my laptop feed over there if I wanted to. I could send my laptop on my desk over there, like both laptop desks over there. I could send my ATEM feed over there. I could send whatever feed I want to that specific monitor, because it's all on the matrix switcher. So they definitely do come in handy. So hope you guys enjoyed the live stream, the live demo here. If you haven't already, hit the follow button, hit the like button. There are hearts on Amazon. There's a like button on YouTube. There's a subscribe button on YouTube. There's a follow button on Amazon. And stay tuned for the next live stream. If you haven't already, definitely check out the upcoming live streams. I have those scheduled out so that we have a consistent flow and you guys know what's upcoming. So appreciate you guys for being here, and I will see you guys in the next live stream.